In a medical emergency, sometimes it all comes down to just one number. But this isn't just any number. It's a number that's so high, it's basically a giant red flag screaming that the body is in crisis. So today, we're going to break down exactly what that number means and how figuring it out can unlock a diagnosis that could literally save someone's life. Okay, so it all kicks off with this one really alarming piece of data: a patient's blood glucose level. And I'm not talking about a little spike you might get after eating a donut. No, this is a number that's shouting from the rooftops that the body's entire metabolic system is failing. So this brings us to our central puzzle for today. If you see a glucose level this dangerously high, what physical signs should you be looking for? And this isn't just some textbook question, right? This is about learning to spot a pattern that could be life-threatening. So let's dive in and really unpack what a number like this is doing inside the body. 650. Let's just let that sink in for a second. To put that in perspective, a healthy fasting blood sugar level should be under 100. So 650? That tells us the bloodstream is just absolutely flooded with sugar. But here's the crazy part, the paradox of it all. Even with all that fuel floating around, the body's cells are literally starving. So how is that even possible? How can you have tons of fuel but still be starving? Well, it's because there's a fundamental breakdown in the body's fuel supply chain. Think about it like this. Imagine a city where the streets are packed with food trucks. Food everywhere. But the door to every single house and apartment is locked. No one can get to the food. That's exactly what's happening inside our patient's cells. See, in a healthy body, a hormone called insulin acts like a key. It unlocks our cells and lets all that glucose in so we can use it for energy. But in this crisis situation, that key is missing. It's just not there. So the glucose is stuck outside, completely useless, and the cells are starving. The body, in a desperate move to survive, panics and says, okay, plan B, and starts burning its backup fuel, fat. But here's the problem. Switching to fat for fuel isn't some nice, clean solution. Oh no. It kicks off this whole dangerous chain reaction of chemical events. It creates a total perfect storm inside the body, and that storm is what leads directly to all the physical signs we're trying to figure out. All right, let's walk through how this goes down step by step. First, the cells are starving, right? We've established that. Second, the body starts burning fat. Now third, and this part is absolutely critical, burning all that fat releases these acidic byproducts called ketones, and they just flood the blood. This leads straight to step 4. The blood itself becomes dangerously acidic. At the very same time, all that extra sugar floating around in the blood starts pulling water out of the cells, which causes step 5, a massive, massive loss of fluid. This whole 5-step cascade is the engine behind a condition we call diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA for short. Okay, so now that we've got a handle on the chaos happening inside the body, we can start connecting the dots to the clues we can see on the outside. Every single symptom this patient is showing is a direct result of that 5-step chain reaction we just talked about. Let's start with the breathing, because it's a huge giveaway. To fight all that acid building up in the blood, the body's breathing system just goes into overdrive. This really deep, really rapid breathing has a name. It's called Kussmaul breathing. It's basically the body's desperate attempt to blow off as much carbon dioxide as possible, because CO2 makes acid in the blood, all in a frantic effort to fix its pH balance. It's an amazing example of how the body tries to save itself, even when things are going haywire. And that brings us right to the correct set of signs. So let's check them off. You've got hyperpnea, that deep, rapid breathing we just talked about, which is the body fighting the acid. You've got dehydration, which shows up as warm, dry skin, and that's from all that fluid being lost. And then you've got tachycardia, a fast, weak pulse, because the heart is working like crazy to pump what little fluid is left. See? It all just clicks into place. But, to really nail this down, it's just as important to understand why the other answers are wrong. Process of elimination, right? If we can confidently rule out the wrong stuff, we can be that much more certain about our diagnosis. What's wild is that the other options suggest the complete opposite of what's actually going on. DKA causes deep breathing, not shallow. It starts with a ton of urination, not little to no urine, and because of that Kussmaul breathing, it leads to low CO2, not high, and a low pH because it's an acidosis, not an alkalosis. So yeah, every single one of those wrong answers fails because it just gets the basic physiology of DK completely backwards. All right, so let's tie this all together. When a clinician is faced with a puzzle like this, they aren't just looking at one symptom. They're looking for a specific pattern, a whole constellation of signs that all point to one very urgent diagnosis. And this, right here, is the key takeaway. If there's one thing you remember from this, it's this classic picture of DKA. You've got the super high glucose, the signs of dehydration like warm, dry skin and a rapid pulse, and that very distinct, deep, rapid breathing. Being able to recognize that pattern isn't just some academic exercise. It is literally the first and most critical step in a race against time. It makes you wonder, right? What other critical medical patterns are out there, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to connect the dots?